The quality of our lives often depends on the quality of our habits. If you want to succeed at anything, like getting out of debt, building wealth, making more money, managing your money, or even improving your lifestyle, then there's one thing you need to get under control. It's actually something every single one of us already does on a daily basis, but we're just not very good at it. The main reason we're not very good at it is because we're all doing it wrong and thinking about it in the wrong way. In this video, we're looking at exactly how to create good habits, to get everything that you've ever wanted, and how to break your bad habits that are holding you back from being successful. We'll be doing this by looking at 8 takeaways from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Hey, I'm Jarrad from Debt Free Blueprint, where I show intelligent people like you how to create freedom through your finances using the Debt Free Blueprint. Smash that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so YouTube knows to deliver these videos just to you. I've read so many books and research over the years on the topic of habits that I thought I knew everything that I needed to know, but Atomic Habits completely shifted how I look and approach my habits. I'm not going to be able to cover everything in the book, so I highly recommend picking up a copy for yourself or signing up for an Audible account to get a free copy of the book. It is a super simple read that will literally change your life. Links for those are in the description, along with more resources to help you out. Habits are made up of 4 parts: cue, craving, response, reward. Here's an example of each of those if the habit is brushing your teeth. The cue is your breath stinks and your teeth feel really dirty. The craving is you want to have a clean mouth for the super hot date that you're going to have in an hour. The response is that you brush your teeth, and the reward is you satisfying your craving of having a clean mouth so that you can have a wild and crazy makeout session with your significant other. In Atomic Habits, he breaks them down into 4 laws or steps to create better habits. The first law, make it obvious. The second law, make it attractive. The third law, make it easy. And the fourth law, make it satisfying. Your day is made up of many different habits. Wake up, go to the restroom, brush your teeth, get in the shower, have some coffee, get dressed for work, put your socks on before your pants, put your left shoe on before your right, and so on. Think of habits like little systems that run in the background of your life. Some of them you realize you're doing, and others are just on autopilot. The ones on autopilot are the best because they're absolutely effortless. You've done them so often and for so long, they've just become ingrained into your daily life. There are, of course, habits that just have to be done to stay alive. Eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, and shower, because you're stinky, of course. For those habits, we don't really have a choice whether we do them or not. Either do them or you'll get sick, go crazy, or possibly die. On the other hand, there are habits that you don't have to do on a regular basis, but doing them now will improve your life in the future. These habits in particular are a little bit more tricky because left to our own demise, we just choose not to do them because starting them and continuing them goes against the grain of what us as humans strive for: ease and comfortability. I can't talk. Comfortability. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. To create habits that will stick, you need to create systems in your life to turn what may seem like meaningless actions into a part of who you are at your core. The first thing that I want you to take away from habit change in the book Atomic Habits is that habits equal identity, and the identity you want will drive your habits. There's 3 levels of behavior change: outcomes, processes, and identity. Outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do, and identity is about what you believe. Now, you want to avoid as many outcome-based habits as possible if you want to make a lasting change in your life. People always want to know how long it takes to create a habit. The short answer is forever, because the moment that you stop doing that habit, it doesn't even exist anymore. Approaching habits as something you're going to be doing forever, as opposed to something you're going to do until you reach a specific goal, will greatly increase your chances of continuing the habit long after you've lost that weight, become that strong, paid off that much debt, hit that yearly income number, or even reach that amount in your savings account or investment accounts. To do this, you need to change who you are and how other people see you. In the book, he gives an example of 2 people resisting a cigarette. When offered a cigarette, the first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." Now, this may sound like a normal response you'd give if you didn't want to smoke any longer, but the person with that response believes he is still a smoker that is trying to quit. The second person, on the other hand, responds by saying, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." This response is way more powerful and accurate. That statement shows that he doesn't identify as a smoker any longer. He's embodied what it means to be someone who doesn't smoke, or has never smoked before. A way that I do this in my life to help me keep the identity that I want at the moment is by doing this. Whenever I don't want to work out, I say to myself, people like us do things like this. When I'm trying to resist something, like spend money when I haven't budgeted for it, I say, people like us don't do this. The habit has to become a part of your identity. True behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with one is that it becomes a part of your identity. Here's some examples to give you an idea of what you should say to focus on changing your identity as opposed to your outcome. The goal isn't to eat a plate of vegetables. The goal is to become healthy. The goal isn't to pay extra towards your debt this month. The goal is to become someone who is financially free. The goal isn't to deprive yourself by spending less. The goal is to become more intentional with the things you bring into your life. The goal isn't to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. Let your habits compound. Changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results if you're willing to stick with them for years. One of the toughest parts about creating good habits is the work that has to be put in on a daily basis. What makes them even more difficult to create is the fact that you won't necessarily see those real results after 1 week or even possibly 1 month. Think of habits like the compound interest of self-improvement. Just like money multiplies through compound interest. The $6,000 you invest in your IRA this year won't really grow that much after 1 year. It won't even grow that much after 5 years. But once you look at that 10-year mark and beyond, that's where things really start to take off. Your money starts doubling because the interest and growth it's had in the stock market. After that 10-year mark, it's worth $12,000. After 20 years, that same $6,000 is worth $23,000. And after 30 years, that money is worth $45,000. All because you created the habit of investing $500 per month every month for 1 year. That's the power of compounding your habits on a daily basis. The results are small and slightly delayed, so focus on the daily reps of whatever habit you're trying to create for yourself. For you to actually start a habit, it needs to be attractive to you in some way, shape, or form. If you don't want to do the habit, then you won't make it a priority in your life. A way to make a habit attractive is to find like-minded people who are either already into the habit you want to create or trying to create the same habit as you. We all need a sense of belonging to survive and live happy, productive lives. Since this has been proven to be a part of who we are as humans, you can use it to help you stick with habits that you want to create for yourself. Being a part of a group is extremely attractive to all of us. Can you think back to high school when you were trying to figure out which group of people that you wanted to hang out with? To fit into that group, you all had to have something in common. You had to imitate and embody something specific to that particular group. For example, if you were a part of a group that liked a certain type of music and talked about it on a regular basis, it was attractive to you to get to know the ins and outs of that particular music scene. This is also a reason that CrossFit is extremely popular. They've mastered bringing like-minded people together that have a common goal of getting in shape. Once an individual becomes a part of the CrossFit community, they feel motivated to show up every day to work out with the people who have the same type of goal. They're using this like-minded group of people to keep them on track. So if you want to make a habit attractive, then find a community that already does that particular thing, or a person that you know that wants to do that particular thing. You and I are extremely fortunate to where we have access to the internet that has groups that are associated with every good habit out there. If you're more of the shy type, then start following particular Instagram accounts, or even watch and engage with different YouTube channels like this one. Always remember that there are communities out there that are waiting for you to join to help you along the way. Changing your view about a new habit can have an enormous difference when it comes to how you perceive a habit you don't necessarily enjoy. Whether we like it or not, perception is reality. For example, instead of saying I have to pay off my bad debt, say that you get to pay off your bad debt so that the stupid student loan company doesn't have control over your life any longer than they have to. Instead of saying that I have to save more money for retirement, say that you get to financially set your older self up for the future so that he or she doesn't have to work until the day that they die. Focus more of your thoughts about the habits around the benefit of doing them. Another way to enjoy the difficult habits is to associate a specific cue to that habit that will get you excited excited for it. For example, sometimes I just don't want to work out. There's a certain type of music that I enjoy listening to, but I only like to listen to it while I'm working out. The type of music is extremely heavy death metal. I really enjoy it, but I'm just not the type of person that's gonna listen to it on a day that I'm trying to relax at home. When I turn this type of music on, I instantly get excited and pumped up to go do a workout. I've used this cue to my advantage to help me get in the mode of working out. Every day when I get home from work, there are two things that I could do that will dictate whether or not I work out. I found that if I play on my phone at all within the first 15 minutes of walking into my house, then I will not work out. But I found that if I walk in the door, put my phone in the kitchen cabinet, turn on my portable speaker, and start playing that music, then I am more likely to get changed and head out to my garage gym to start working out. I know this sounds absolutely insane, but I swear it works. Find a specific cue that makes it easier and more attractive for you to start the habit and get the ball rolling. Bundle that cue with the beginning of the desired habit that you want to create. Easy is always better. If all you had to do was take a pill to get your nutrition and feel full for the day, then would you? Of course you would, because it would help prevent you from eating all the food that we know isn't good for us and get more of the good stuff that we all know that we need. Our brains are wired to gravitate towards the path of least resistance. Knowing this, you need to set your habits up to be as easy as possible. To make the process of creating a habit easy, think in terms of how often you do it. The number of times is more important than the time itself. Think about it in terms of reps. The more repetitions you get in, the faster your brain is going to pick up on what you're trying to make it do. Your brain is naturally wired to try to make things as automatic as possible, because when you make something automatic, the less work it has to do. To get the brain to figure out how to automate something, it needs done on a regular basis. The more you do it, the better you become at it, the easier the whole thing is. Do you think it would be easier to make something a habit that you do once every 2 weeks, or something you do every single day or every other day? It's the same idea when trying to create a new habit. Increasing the frequency at which you do that good habit will increase the likelihood that you'll get it to stick. One downfall to keep in mind is that the planning phase of creating a habit is only one small part of the whole thing. You need to try to avoid falling into the trap of feeling like you've succeeded after this planning stage, because there's a difference between going to the gym to talk to a trainer and actually going to the gym to work out. And there's a difference between calculating that you need to make an extra $700 per month and actually doing the work to find a higher paying job or creating a side business to start making that extra money. The habit you want to create needs to be done every single day if possible to make it become easier. In Atomic Habits, James Clear suggests using the 2-minute rule to make your habit easier. Yeah, only 2 minutes. That's basically how long you should plan on doing a habit for at first. I know it sounds insanely easy, and that's the whole point. The beginning stages of anything are the hardest. You're trying to go from 0 to 100 without any momentum to get the process going. But what if you set the bar so low that you only required yourself to complete 2 minutes of that habit? Instead of trying to go from 0 to 100, you ask yourself to go from 0 to 5. Your plan needs to be to master the art of showing up. Once you've mastered going from 0 to 5, it's going to be a lot easier for you to go from 5 to 20, then 20 to 60, then 60 to 100. In Atomic Habits, he says that a habit must be established before it can be improved. Establish the habit by making it really easy, then improve on it after that. For example, if you want to create the habit of working out every single morning, then apply the 2-minute rule. Complete 1 minute of push-ups and 1 minute of sit-ups at the slowest pace possible the second that your feet hit the ground when you wake up in the morning. Then stop after those 2 minutes. If you want to be a little more conscious with your spending, spend 2 minutes at the end of every day logging into your bank account to review the things that you've purchased on that day. I used this type of method a couple of years ago without even realizing it when I wanted to start eating healthy. I knew that I needed to start small if I wanted to create this good habit for myself. I personally wanted to incorporate more vegetables into every single meal that I ate because vegetables are obviously healthy for you. I started insanely small by making the agreement with myself that I'd eat at least a little bit of vegetables with one meal every single day. It was so easy that I would be an idiot not to do it. Fast forward about 5 years later, and I eat roughly 2 to 3 pounds of vegetables every single day. I eat them with 95% of the meals that I consume every single week. Focus on the first 2 minutes of every habit that you want to create, then slowly ramp up from there. To get a habit to stick, we need to find some way to make it satisfying in the moment. Of course, this is easier said than done. It's always easier to eat that cake now to make our taste buds feel all warm and fuzzy. It's easier to take that $500 and spend it on a new wardrobe to make us look cool to people we don't know instead of investing it for retirement. And it's easier to watch an hour of Netflix than it is to get into the gym to work out for an hour or work out for an hour in your living room. Another reason creating a good habit for yourself is so difficult is because the reward is usually delayed. Saying no to cake once isn't going to make you lose weight tomorrow. Saying no to buying those clothes and instead investing that money isn't going to make you able to retire tomorrow. And saying no to watching Netflix and working out isn't going to make you better looking naked tomorrow. So how can you make a habit satisfying? One way to make a habit satisfying is to create some sort of a reward system for yourself. The cost of your good habits is in the present because they're usually more uncomfortable to do. Now the cost of your bad habits is in the future because that's when they really start to have a negative impact on your life. One thing to be careful of when finding ways to make your good habit satisfying is that you don't make the reward one that conflicts with that good habit that you're trying to create. For example, if the good habit that you want to create is around getting in shape, then the reward you give yourself shouldn't be something like you get to eat a bowl of ice cream every time that you work out. That is absolutely counterproductive to the habit that you're trying to create. Instead, it could be every time that I work out, I'm going to allow myself to watch, we'll say 30 minutes of Netflix, but I can only do this after I complete a workout, or I can do this while I'm, we'll say, on the treadmill. The same thing with if you're trying to budget and save money. If every time you say no to eating out to save money, your reward should not be to allow yourself a trip to Target. It could be to save up for a vacation that you want to take later in the year. You need to find another type of reward that suits your wants, that won't ruin the progress of building this habit. The best way that I found to make a habit satisfying is one that I've been doing for years. It's been an absolute game changer for me. I'll share more about that specifically in a minute. One of the main reasons it has the potential to be a game changer for you as well is because it hits 3 of the 4 things that you need to create a solid habit. It makes the habit obvious, it makes the habit attractive, and it makes the habit satisfying. So what is this secret weapon? Creating a way to track the habit you're trying to start or remove from your life. Habit tracking was so important to Benjamin Franklin that starting at the age of 20, he carried around a small book with him every single day to track 13 positive behaviors that he wanted to achieve in his life. At the end of each day, he would take some time to record his progress. This concept isn't something new, but it can be really, really powerful if you actually do it. Research has even shown how big of a benefit tracking a habit can have. One study of more than 1,600 people found that the ones who tracked their food intake lost twice as much weight than the people who didn't track anything at all. The satisfaction of visually seeing the progress every single day will give you something to look forward to and achieve on a regular basis. Another good thing about tracking your habits is that it keeps you honest and informed about what you've done in the past. Our memories are sometimes flawed, so we usually think things that we did in the past were a little bit better than they actually were. I can vouch for how powerful tracking your habits can be. It's literally changed my life in a positive way. It's made me a completely different person and improved my life in ways that I never thought that it could. Let me share my personal story with you. I basically track the things in my life that I know will have the biggest positive impact on my future. The first area is with my finances. About 7 years ago, I started keeping a budget. Now, doing that helped me pay off $82,000 in debt in 4 years, and it now helps me save and invest 60% of my income every single month. I also attribute to being able to max out my 401k and Roth IRA, and I guess HSA every single year to budgeting my money. Financially, I also track my net worth every single month, which helps keep the growth of my money at the top of my mind. The second way tracking my habits has changed my life is through keeping a log of all of my workouts over the past 4 years. Here they are, all my workouts from 2014 up until today. So I can basically tell you the exact workout that I did on this day for the past 4 years. Another thing I like about keeping track of my physical fitness habits is that I can think back to a time where I liked how I looked or performed physically. If I want to replicate that time or that past me, then all I have to do is go back and start looking at the workouts that I was doing and do those all over again. I also have so many other things that I track in my life that I'll just mention them real quick. Something that I've never admitted to you folks before is I used to be addicted to chewing tobacco. So now I track the number of days I've gone without using chewing tobacco. I used to track my nutrition and the type of diet that I was on. More about why I don't do that any longer in a minute. I create a plan every single week to track what I need to get done that week to increase my productivity. I have a journal that I keep to track my thoughts to make sure that my mental health is in order. There's actually more things that I track, but I'll just stop right there. I know what you're thinking. Tracking your habits seems like an annoying thing to do. Who in the heck wants to track everything in their life? You don't have to. I'm an oddball when it comes to wanting to track a lot of the things in my life. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to gathering and evaluating data like that. Don't think that you have to be just like me and do all of it. Everything I track isn't really that much extra work for me personally, because it's become automatic to me and I can do it very, very quickly. Plus, you have to remember that I didn't start tracking all of the things that I mentioned at once. I started with one thing. So my suggestion is to start small. Pick one habit and start tracking it. You can use an Excel spreadsheet, you can use a Google spreadsheet, you can use a notebook, or even software. You don't even have to track your habits forever. You can just track your new habits until it becomes automatic. After that, you can just go on autopilot like I do with my nutrition. Because like I said, I don't track my food intake any longer because it's basically become such a big part of who I am that there's really no need to do that. I've been on the same diet for a few years, so I mean, I don't really have to think about what I can and can't eat anymore because I just know. Habits are the lifeblood of your future. They will determine what your life is going to look like going forward. Your future is made up of thousands and thousands of decisions that may seem very inconsequential in the moment, but have a bigger impact much later down the line. If you need some help in the area of getting your money in order, then sign up to get on the money management course waiting list where I teach you about budgeting and all things money. The link is in the description. Make sure to smash that thumbs up button to pick up your free copy of the Debt-Free Prep Workbook. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so YouTube knows to deliver these videos to you and we can start getting you to a point where you are financially free. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Adios.